Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our very first Hertfordshire Local Enterprise Partnership live webinar. The aim of these webinars is to provide school students, particularly whilst we're in lockdown, the opportunities to meet with real-life employers or employees that we hope will help you to make better informed decisions about your careers as you go through school and then as you leave school as well. This is the first one of these we've done, so it's a little bit of a test event today. Looks like there's about 13 or 14 of you on there, which is really good. So a bit of housekeeping things for you. You are all muted at the moment, so we won't be able to hear anything that you're saying or doing in the background, but hopefully you'll be able to hear us well. You do have the opportunity to ask questions, and we'd really encourage you to ask questions as well. The way to alert me that you want to ask a question is on your dashboard you've got in front of you. There should be the facility on there to do something called raise your hand. So if you raise your hand, that will alert me to the fact that you want to ask a question. If you want to ask a question over audio so that we can physically hear your voice, then do that. The other option you've got though is on the panel you've got in front of you, there's also one that says questions. So on the questions, I think if you click the arrow on that one, it will open up a little text bar, and then in the text bar you could type a question. So that will come directly through to me. So it won't be visible to any of the other attendees that are listening. It'll only be visible to me, and then I will forward that question to Josephine, who's our subject today. So do feel free to ask any questions at any point. I've got some set questions I'm going to ask to start with, and then I will open it up to the floor with the rest of you to do that. So I'm going to assume you can all hear me and you've understood that well as well. So we're going to start. So our subject today of our virtual encounter is Josephine Reddy, who is a business degree apprentice for MBDA. So Josephine, you just want to wave to everyone and they can all see you and that you're hearing. I think I'll give you an opportunity just to introduce yourself and the business you work for now.
Hi everyone, so I'm Josephine. I'm a first year business degree apprentice at MBDA. For those of you who don't know, MBDA is a missile systems company, specifically working in the defence industry, and I am located in Stevenage.
Okay, thanks very much, Josephine. And well, I suppose the first place to start is, could you talk us through your career path since you left year 11 at school, and just tell us what you did at school in sixth form and what you've done subsequently?
So I actually moved schools to Richard Hill for my sixth form, and I studied media, business and English, and I came out with AAB, which I was really happy with. It was a really good fun 2 years, but you know, I was in the same position that a lot of you are in. I was saying, you know, uni or an apprenticeship, and I did get uni offers, and I was, you know, I applied for everything, but I did really want a degree apprenticeship. You know, I summed it up in my head and I was like, it's a no-brainer. All this experience, a degree. So yeah, after I got my after I did a first year, I started to look into applying, and you know, the process was really difficult. I looked around and I couldn't really find anything I was interested in, and I went to a careers fair at Herts Uni, and I stumbled across MBDA, which was a stand, and I asked them about it, and it just clicked straight away, and I applied the next day, and here we are.
And of the A levels that you did, you said one of them was business. Was that a subject that you were really interested in, that you knew you wanted to explore and find out more about?
Yeah, definitely. I actually took it for GCSE as well. I think it's a really versatile subject. You can apply it to any industry. So yeah, that really did speak out for me. But alongside that, actually, media really helped in the work that I'm doing today. You know, a lot of it is contemporary stuff, different forms of channels and stuff. So yeah, it does all apply to the work I'm doing.
Yeah, and you're a business degree apprentice, which means that you're working and you're studying for a degree at the same time. So can you tell us, how does your week look in terms, how do you split up what days you go into work and when you're studying?
So my work are closely linked with the university. So we have an apprenticeship head. So they decide what days we're going to uni and what days we're going to work. So 20% of my time a week I'm at uni. So that works out about a day and a half. and the rest of the week I'm at work. So part of my contract is that I have different placements, so I'm allowed to move around the business into different functions, different areas. So that means my weeks are very different. So every few months I change, or every year, however long the placement is. So my daily routine is probably 7.5 hours every day. I work very closely with my team. So at the minute I'm in B&P, which is project management. I spend a lot of time with the engineers, you know, on the shop floor looking at how missiles being built, which is really interesting, actually, not your everyday job. But yeah, doing a lot of work to support my manager. You know, I just finished an EA completion, so that's going to go to the execs and basically do a breakdown of the project that I'm working on. So lots to do.
Yeah, and you say you've moved around lots of different departments. What would an average day? So if you were going into the office on a normal day, what sorts of things might you be doing within your current department that you're supporting?
This department runs on Teams completely, so I have a lot of daily meetings. I meet a lot of different people, different areas, different task groups for different projects, and you know, that's a massive part of my day, going and speaking to people and just communication, really, just feeling that we're all updated. And I use a lot of software, actually, a lot of things called Primavera, Performer, and that basically breaks down what our project is spending, what it's using, labour. So yeah, using a lot of that, really, and meeting a lot of my team.
Yeah, you've mentioned your team there. Can you tell us a little bit about your team? What sort of ages are the people that you work with, and what sort of different things do they do?
Do you know what? We have such a range. It can be from someone who's a second year apprentice who I know through the apprenticeship community, or it can be, you know, Simon with 5 kids from HR. You know, it really does vary, and that's what I love about the job. I get to meet so many different types of people, and not just, you know, that's my set team. If you get involved with things other than your day-to-day job, so extracurricular, if you want to call it, you get to meet such a variation of people from different areas. And you know, I think that's the best way to start working and really getting to know everyone.
Yeah, and how did it feel? If you think back to your first day at work, so you've been at school and you're used to being around people that were exactly the same age as you. What did you find was different when you first went into the workplace and you had people from all, you know, different age groups and perhaps generations working with you?
Do you know what? It was really strange, actually. I think I went in with the mindset of, you know, I'm a first year apprentice, I'm 18, I'm going to be sort of the child of the business. But no, it's the complete opposite. I get treated with complete respect. I feel like I'm equal to everyone. You know, I get spoken to like an adult. It's very inclusive. But yeah, it was definitely a change from being in a year group, I guess. But the apprenticeships, obviously, the scheme, I have first years, second years, third years, fourth years. So it's nice to sort of have a group that are my friends, and like I can do stuff with them as well.
Yeah, and presumably you had lots of friends that went to university straight away rather than doing the apprenticeship. Do you talk to them, and how do you find that their studying differs to yours?
We have a complete opposite mindset. It's really strange. So, you know, I'll speak to my friends and say, oh, I've got this assignment to do, and I've got a lot of meetings to do, and I've got to balance a lot of my work. And I'm not discrediting uni. That's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. However, you know, a lot of my friends did go, and it was a strange time in my life. Everyone sort of left, and I had a 9 to 5 job and a degree. So I think it does settle down. You get so used to the routine. But yeah, it's definitely about how much effort you put in and the time you take to balance both like lives.
Yeah. What would you like to, so once your apprenticeship comes to an end, what would be the natural next steps for you, for your progression within MBDA?
So my contract, I get offered a level 3 straight away at the end of 4 years. That means that I'm offered a job straight away, which is great, and I can choose which part of the business I want to go in. Ideally, my heart says sales and marketing. We don't actually have a marketing department yet, so maybe I could be the first to make it, who knows, but something along the lines of that. But after the 4 years, I'll hopefully will know what my passion is. So
Yeah. And I mean, what are the sorts of skills and qualities that you found are really important for you to have doing the job that you do within MBDA?
I would say one of the main ones is teamwork. you know, the whole industry itself is built on just different teams and working well with other people who can be halfway across the country. So we have sites Bolton, Bristol and Stevenage. So, you know, having that sort of community is really important. Also innovation, the industry is always changing and we're really prompted to bring new ideas to the table. It's really welcomed. Communication, determination, obviously. I think you've got to be a very driven person to be able to balance a degree alongside working 9 to 5. So yeah, just hopefully a bit of passion.
Yeah, no, okay, no, that's a really good answer. What I want to know then, so I wonder whether anyone else who's listening in at the moment has any questions. So now would be a good time just to send any of those through if you've got them. So you can either do that as a question, or if you want to ask a question over audio, you can raise your hand now as well, and then that will alert me to do that on there. You mentioned that you've got friends that go to to university. Are they doing business course as well? Are they even doing exactly the same course as you are that you know of?
Yeah, actually, quite a few are doing the exact same course. And I think the beauty of the apprenticeship is I have the money to go and visit them, and you know, I still get to go out. I think there's a lot of assumptions around the fact that, you know, if you're an apprentice, you're sort of like an adult for the rest of your life, you have to stay in. But no, I definitely experience some of the uni life. I go out with the apprentices in my year. But yeah, it's exactly the same course I would have chosen if I went to university and not a degree apprenticeship. So
Yeah. Okay. All right. I've got a question in from Mia. So she would like to know, what do you find the most interesting things about business? So as a subject area and something you've applied to your job, what is it that you find really interesting about business?
I think one of the things I find really interesting is the theory behind it. So I learn a lot of stuff at university that, you know, I really do apply to my everyday life and my real job. So motivation, human resource management, you know, it really does make sense. And when you sit there and you learn it on paper, it really does apply to your everyday life and it's easier to understand. And I think it helps me becoming a manager myself.
Yeah. Okay. And I've got another question that's just come in that says, what are the other apprenticeship opportunities available at MBDA? Now, I don't know whether you may or may not know the answer to this one.
We also do engineering. So engineering is probably the biggest apprenticeship investment that we have. Engineers, there are way more than us, and there's lots of different routes. So software, you know, shop floor. I would really recommend looking on the MBDA website. I know the apprentices absolutely love it there, and they study at Oaklands College, so they also get a degree alongside.
Yeah, okay. And then, so it's just a follow-up question to that is, do you think it's important that you've got a lot of knowledge about missiles or defence to go and work in business for MBDA? So I suppose the question I've got to is, what was your prior knowledge of missiles and defence before you started working with MBDA, and how important was it or wasn't it to have that background knowledge?
I had absolutely none, to be completely honest with you. You know, they said missiles, and I said, what? It's not me. I'm not techie. I'm not engineering at all. However, you pick it up so quickly, and you know, there's lots of development opportunities in the business. So I'm given chances to go and study extra stuff, so I get a better understanding of the engineering side of it and the parts that my business scheme won't cover. So, you know, it really is all there for you to learn. I didn't have any prior knowledge, but you know, I'm picking it up slowly but surely, so it can be done.
Yeah, and another good question that come in here that's just said, what was the recruitment process like to get into the job?
So I first of all applied, and I think that including my CV. So I'd recommend making sure that's all up to date. And then I went through psychometric tests. So I think I had to put statements in order of what I would pick, and there were a couple of those different rounds. And then finally you get to work out if you get invited to an assessment day. So the assessment day was probably the scariest part. we had to have a one-on-one interview, and we had to be tested how we work as a group. So we got given an activity and we got put in front of a board of about 15 people. It's quite overwhelming, and they wanted to assess how we work well within the team, because teamwork is such a big part of the business. They really wanted to see what our strengths were, what our weaknesses were, and we had to bring in a piece of work that we felt was significant to us and showed off our skills. So I brought my media coursework in, and yeah, they called me the next day and offered me a place.
Okay, and then just follow up, Rashmi wanted to find out, when did you start applying for jobs, relative to where you were in, I guess, year 13, but you might tell me it was year 12, and how long did all of that process take from finding and identifying the first job to actually being offered it and starting?
So I probably started around the time that most people apply for university. So I knew by the end of year 12 that was it. I wanted a degree apprenticeship, so I was heart set on finding one. So around probably December time I started looking, and yeah, I think I found it in about February or January. So I had to look around. It was quite difficult. I didn't have HOP, which I kicked myself about. I wish it was around a year earlier, but it was very difficult to find what I wanted. But I applied for university alongside this because I wanted to leave as many opportunities open. So it was sort of the same time frame as uni deadlines and applications. So
yeah, okay. And then, I mean, I know some of the people that are listening in at the moment will be year 12 and year 13, possibly some year 11 students as well, who may well be studying business at the moment. What would be the sort of tips, or what would you say to inspire them to actually get, not just thinking about studying the subject, but then trying to think about a career within that subject area as well?
I would say don't limit yourself on what you think that you don't know. If someone had told me 2 years ago that I was going to work for a missile systems company, I would have laughed. So the thing I would suggest is, don't discredit yourself. Don't think that, that's not the business for me. There are so many different opportunities and so many things that you can learn along the way. So really just broaden your horizons and see what interests you and just go for it.
Yeah, and then I suppose a bit of a sort of a side question to that that's coming from Ellie, which is, what would you like to be told? So if you were in year 12 now, it might be very similar to the last answer you gave me, what information or guidance or advice would you like to receive now if you were, say, in year 12, just thinking about what might happen in the future?
I would say leave as many windows of opportunity open as possible. If you want to, if you're deciding between uni and apprenticeships, or you may want to do that but you're not sure you're good enough, apply. What is the harm in applying? I think just try and get as many different opportunities going as possibly, and just see what takes your interest. Don't limit yourself.
Okay, right. That's probably a really good answer to follow up with. So I'm going to give, just as I'm talking, I'm going to take any more opportunities to ask any more questions before we close off today. Just as I'm waiting and prompting to see if anyone does want to ask anything. Thanks ever so much for everyone for joining us today. So the purpose of today really is just to give you a little bit more information about what that real working life looks like. So I know the students that are on probably from Thomas Lane or from Onslow and Aldridge School as well. I know that you've got really good careers information that goes into your school at the moment. So do talk to Mrs. Manley or Mrs. Bailey about sorts of anything that you found interesting off the back of this session that you've been in today. But thanks ever so much, Josephine, for being the first subject of one of these careers talks as well. I think it's really inspirational, the things that you've done, and hopefully some of the things you said have been very relatable, and our participants will remember, and they'll be able to take forwards from here. So it looks like there's no more questions that have come in, so I'm going to call it a day there. So thanks everyone for listening, and thanks for taking part, Josephine. All these workshops that we do, we will run them on a weekly basis, probably from the middle of May onwards, and we'll feature different people from different subject areas. So if there's any particular subjects or careers that anyone wants to find out about, you can talk to your careers teachers at school, and that message can come back to us. But thanks very much for joining, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you.